Okay, in this video I want to look at an example of while. What I want to do is write a program which adds up some numbers. The user keeps on inputting numbers. Every time it input a number, it adds it to some total called sum. So if you keep on adding numbers, so currently that would be say 3, then the sum would go up to 7 and so on. The moment the user enters a non-numeric character like the letter E, then it exits and prints the sum value. Okay, so we're writing a simple program that will just carry on asking you to keep on adding numbers. As soon as you enter a non-numeric character like an E, it should exit. So this brings out some of the features of while, but it also allows us to see some other features of code. So let's write an add numbers function. And in the add numbers function, we're going to start with a sum, which is set to 0. Then we're going to have a variable which is going to control the loop. We're going to say continue adding, and we're going to set it to true. So while that variable above continue adding is true, you can remember you can write equal true, or you can just put the name of the value. It means the same thing. Then it will continue in that loop. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to ask our user for some input, and we do a simple input statement like this, and inside there we write please enter a number. Now I'm not giving any other instructions, and strictly you might want to say enter a letter if you don't want to continue or you're happy. Now I'm inside the loop, I've asked for a number, and then now I need to check whether the input is a number. So what I do is I take the name of the variable is user input, and I put this very useful, I hit a dot, and I write is numeric open close bracket. And what that question does is it says, is the value that was entered actually, does it contain numbers, or does it contain anything which is non-numeric? If it contains any non-numeric character, alphabet or special characters, it will return false. Otherwise it will be true. Okay, so if it's true that you've just entered a bunch of numbers, let's take our sum value plus equals, force the input to be an integer or a whole number. Now you might want to float, and then add it. So there's my input. I ask if it's numeric. If it's numeric, I then convert it to a whole number. I'm only going to assume I'm entering whole numbers at this stage anyway, because otherwise I would have to change that to a float to allow decimal points, and then I'll add it to the sum, and the sum will just keep on adding. Now if what you add has a letter in there, then we want to stop looping. So that's the looping condition if continue adding is true. So to stop it from looping, we make continue adding equal to false. The moment that we do this, the code will follow this trajectory. It will go initially start with true, so it goes to here, ask for some input. Let's say you enter the letter E. Well, it's not going to be numeric, so it's not going to add it. It's going to jump down here, and it's going to set continue adding to false. It then loops back around to the while statement and says, is continue adding still true? No, it isn't. So it leaps out of the loop and comes down here, and when we come out of the loop, we're simply going to print the sum. So we'll say sum, and we're going to use a simple bit of formatting, character press dot format. We're going to pass it our sum value. Nice and simple. Okay, but there's a couple of features here that you should know. This is numeric, and there are other concepts related to this. There is also something called is alpha, is digit, and these help you judge the content of your input if you need to be sure about what that is. That's something that may become very useful to you later on. So you ask for the input, if it's numeric, you'll add it as an integer, otherwise you will switch this value to false. It loops back round, that's now false, so it stops the loop, jumps out of the loop and comes down and outputs the format. So let's place the add number in our main and let's test it. Now this is quite a simple but powerful concept. So let's open that up, let's run main. So I enter 2, happy, 2, so that's 5. Let's enter 4, brings it up to 9. Let's enter 1, should be 10. Now if I enter a letter, it exits and it gives me the total of the numbers before. Now that's a very good program and a very good example of seeing the power of using a condition inside the loop to stop the loop from continuing. Based on user input inside your loop, you can control the loop. But in this program, again, you don't know how many times you are going to code.